Okay. Hello. I have been instructed to keep it short and pithy, as apparently I have a tendency to maybe talk too much. I don't know what they're talking about. But anyway, you know, I'm really excited to give this presentation. This is the first time that I've given this presentation. And you know, I was asked, okay, hey, you know, let's do something about success stories, and we have a lot of success stories that I could tell. But I thought, you know, let's change it up a little bit and let's kind of delve into the numbers a little bit, okay? Because really, what is success? And what you said is right on for you guys. What is success? Getting back to your previous level of function, getting back to where you were at, returning home. I know that there's a lot of residents who are hesitant to come down to healthcare because they think they're trying to suck me into healthcare. No, we're not. Just the opposite. We want you back in independent living. We want you back where you were. We have plenty of business down in healthcare. We're not hurting, okay? So we want to get you back home. So with that being said, I kind of want to go over some mathematical data, okay? Let me make sure I don't screw this up here. There we go. Okay, so what I want to talk about is QRP, Functional Change Outcomes. Now, the first question you might have is, what is QRP? It is Quality Reporting Program. This is an actual program that was set up by Medicare to basically, and it's bigger than just therapy. It's over the whole healthcare. It's about, you know, in any aspect of healthcare, there's some report, quality report that we have to report in. But for therapy, it's all about functional progress. Are your patients, or our patients, our residents, making progress? Okay, and this program was set up again by Medicare that we have to report to. So basically, when you come in, we do an initial evaluation, and that data, we have to put in that data into a system and whoop, send it off to Medicare. And then when you leave, your discharge, whether it's to the hospital or back home, we have to put in this discharge information again. Whoop, off it goes to Medicare. Okay. That's what QRP is, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about. And this is all, for the purposes of this report, I am discussing only Medicare Part A, okay? So that is what we call skilled care. So if you've been in the hospital for 3 days, you come in to healthcare, you're getting therapy 5 days a week, that is considered skilled care. We're not talking about people who live at the healthcare. We're talking about people from wherever that come in and are getting skilled therapy. That's where this data is all coming from, just so we're clear, okay? So, they break it down, Medicare breaks it down into 3 components. I don't know if you can read this, but it's self-care, mobility, and function. Okay, so what is self-care? Well, just so you get an idea of the data we're collecting in that, it's eating, oral hygiene, toileting hygiene, showers, dressing. These are all the different data points that we gather, that we send off, and it is collected in what we call self-care. Okay, the next one is mobility, and that is, can you roll in bed? Can you go from lying to sitting to lying? What is your sit to stand like? Can you go from bed to chair? Can you go from bed to commode? Can you walk 10 feet? Can you walk 50 feet? Can you walk 150 feet? That is the data that we collect. Again, when you first come in and I do that evaluation, we take that data, send it off. When you're discharged, we take these data points and send it off again. So, function, the last one. Medicare takes the data that we send in at admission, and they put it through this special, I don't know, Medicare computer program, I don't know what it is, but whatever, they do their math, it's quite convoluted, I could go into the mathematics of it, but Medicare spits out a expected discharge score. Okay, so this discharge score is what they expect this person to make who has these specific comorbidities, this specific diagnosis, and they take age into account and all these things. It's a really complicated formula, and spit out this score that they think this resident should be at discharge. So this is not just measuring me setting my own goals. This is, are we meeting what Medicare thinks, okay? Because I can, you know, if I'm just, I met my own goals, set my own goals that I set, that doesn't really measure. So this is a pretty good measure of where we're at, okay? So this slide is just a difference from the score at admit to discharge. So basically, for self-care, we saw an increase of 14 points from admit to discharge. Again, that's on eating, showering, bathing, dressing. Mobility, walking, getting in and out of bed, all that stuff. We saw an increase of 32.6. Okay. Now this function score, again, is like what I talked about, that's the number that Medicare came out with, okay? So basically, according to their data, they combined the self-care and the mobility to come up with this score, and that score increased 21.6 points, okay? And if you have any questions about any of this, just wait till the end or come see me after we're done, okay? Okay. Discharge QRP. Percentage met. Again, so I talked about Medicare sets this goal for this patient. How often are we meeting that goal? Well, in self-care, 90.9%. Mobility, 87.9. Altogether, their score, we're meeting there at 90%, 90.3. Not everybody, I'm not gonna lie to you, not everybody gets better. If it was 100%, somebody's probably not putting in accurate data or skewing the numbers. But that's a really, and I just saw this data just a few days ago as I was putting this together, because this is a relatively new program for me. So I'm very happy with those numbers, okay? So then the next thing I want to look at, well, actually, let me talk about one other thing real quick. And I don't know how much time I have left, so this is just a percentage of the clinical classifications, okay? So, you know, we get different diagnoses in the therapy. So the purple is a major joint surgery. Okay, this orange one is like other orthopedic surgeries. This grayish one is non-orthopedic, acute neurological, like a stroke. And then this other is medical management, and that covers a lot of area, but it covers a lot of pneumonia, severe debility, UTI. You know, these are the, you know, they have a lot of different comorbidities, a lot of different issues, okay? So, I'm not gonna go through all these, but basically all the major orthos saw an increased score of about 11. The regular orthos was 29. Non-orthos, 10-ish. And then the medical management is more like saw an increased score of like 48. So, and that's what I would expect. Most of your joints, people come in, the relatively high. They're going in for a hip surgery, a prepared surgery. You know, when they come in, they can eat. They can do a lot of their activities already. Okay, they're fairly mobile. So their scores aren't going to jump up because their scores are fairly high. Does that make sense what I'm saying? You know, these folks over here, they're the sickest of the sick. And we get a lot of them. I'm not going to lie to you. These are the people that we sit up on the side. They can't even sit up on the side of the bed for less than a minute and have to lie down because they're short of breath, or their blood pressure goes up, or their blood pressure drops. We're starting from a very low level. But as you can see, the increase in score, these people get better. That's why that number is so much higher, because we're starting from the lowest score. They can't hardly do anything, and then we work them back up. Okay? All right. I am almost done. So, this is kind of a comparison. Where do we fit in with the state of Texas compared to other nursing homes? And where do we fit nationally? Because they compile all this data. This is all about data collection that Medicare is collecting. Okay? So, on the discharge self-care score, don't worry about this score. Basically, our score was a 91. The county average, median, 49.7. The state, 53.5. National, 52.8. Again, we were at a 91. The discharge mobility score, again, don't worry about the numerator and the denominator, 85.3. County, 40. State, 45.2. National, 50.4. And this discharge function scores, again, that's Medicare score. Not mine, that's Medicare score. 87.5, the county, 41. The state, 35. National, 52. Now, that's success. That is a quantitative success. And in ending, I just want to talk about all this. Yeah, you know, oh, therapy did that. No, it's not just therapy. This is healthcare. This is everybody. This is a team. Because you know what? Therapy can't do anything if they don't have the proper nutrition. Therapy can't do anything if their blood pressure is dropping and the doctor has to manage it and the nurses are managing the medications and taking care of their wounds and doing all the other things that need to be done. So I'm not here to say this is, this therapy, you're so wonderful. No, it is healthcare. And I just want everybody to remember that is healthcare. So in conclusion, what I want to say is we are not trying to suck you into healthcare. Okay? We get people better. We get you home at a very high percentage. So if you're in the hospital and you're saying, oh, I don't want to go down to healthcare, hey, we get you home. Because some of the people go home, they end up back in the hospital. Okay? So again, this is a team effort. It's everybody up here, everybody that's not here, the nurses, night shift, all the shifts. And again, don't be scared to come down to healthcare. We're going to get you better. Okay? All right, thank you. I don't know how long I talked. I may have gone long.
That was perfect, John. Round of applause for John. Yes, thank you. So to continue with the theme of success, we're going to hear next from our activity directors at our healthcare center, from Alexis and Andrea in the Oaks, Alexis in healthcare, and also then Sandy with our Lakeside Assisted Living. They're going to talk to you about their specialized certifications and ways that they contribute with their special certifications to ensuring success with our residents. So we'll start off with Alexis.
Hello and good morning.
Good morning.
So yes, my name's Alexis. I am the Activities Director for Healthcare and Crestway Assisted Living. So I'm a certified recreation specialist also known as just recreation therapist. My job is to provide activities that promote health in the whole person, right? So my scope includes, my scope includes physical, cognitive, social, emotional, and spiritual. So the activities that I provide in my monthly calendar aims to provide each of these with attention to each resident's interests and needs. So I'm fortunate to have received my bachelor's degree in recreation therapy from Texas State University. And I took my certification exam, and I've been practicing recreation therapy now for almost 5 years in a variety of settings. In my current role here at the ARC, I meet with each resident that comes in to Crestway and Healthcare, and I conduct an evaluation. So I chat and I talk about what their individual needs are, their interests, their limitations and goals. So I do this in order to provide more meaningful recreation therapy, and then I get to lead these activities and facilitate these activities with my residents, and then document the progress that they're making towards their goals, right? So I get to document and celebrate with them and show them that they can do it. As a certified therapist, I have clinical education and the skill set to facilitate evidence-based therapy based in recreation engagement to better the quality of lives in lots of different people. So a lot of times people will come into healthcare and they tell me, you know, I can't do it. I haven't drawn in a long time. I haven't done this. I haven't played bingo in years, right? I can't do it because my eyesight. Can't do it because whatever, right? And a lot of times I tell them, you know, it might look different, but it's still possible, right? And that's what I'm here to do, is to show you that you can still engage in those things that are meaningful to you and help you along the way, right? So just a little story. I had somebody recently who came into an activity, we were drawing. She said, oh, you know, I can't draw, I can't do it, my hands shake, I can't hold the pencil, right? So I just wanted her to know that she could still at least try and give herself that motivation. So of course I have like adaptive devices. So I put one on her and she did it, and hearing people tell me like, wow, I haven't done this in so long. I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I've done a puzzle. I haven't done one in years, right? That's the success for me, is getting to see them light up when they think, wow, I haven't done this in forever, but I can do it, right? It might look different, but you can still do it, and that's what I'm here to help with. So some examples of using evidence-based recreation therapy is maybe using social activities to work towards a lower risk of depression, right? Being more around people, or playing card and board games, because research shows that adults experiencing cognitive decline show improvements in attention and working memory after regularly engaging in these activities. Okay. So some examples, I have some pictures. Recently we did a restorative yoga, and that was to help them boost confidence and show that they could still do it. More awareness to themselves and their bodies, so they know their limitations, and then reduce that anxiety. We did meditation along with this. In this picture, we did some art. So this was them kind of showing their pieces, and we centered it around socializing and boosting creativity and independence. So here, I didn't give them a theme. I just gave them materials, and I said, have fun. And so I wanted them to know that they didn't need me to tell them what to do exactly, right? They can do whatever made them feel good. And this is what we came up with. And it was a great time to socialize, and we kind of talked about our experience in art, and all these lovely ladies are really great at art, so that was fun. And then this one, so we engaged in a time challenge. So it was like a minute to win it game, and they were working towards increased fine and large motor skills and cognitive problem solving. So they had to pick up the papers and put it on the thing within a certain time limit. So that was a lot of fun as well. But yeah, so I really enjoy the work I do, and I will continue to help people reach their goals through recreation, because it's such an important component of our lives that we often forget. Thank you.
Andrea, come on down. You're the next, no.
morning, everybody. Good morning, yes. Hello, my name is Andrea. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Hello, hello. Okay, hello. All right, there we go. Hello, good morning. So my name is Andrea Wheeler, and I am the Activities Director in the Memory Care Unit, also known as the Oaks here in healthcare. And I have been working at the ARC for a total of 3 years now. I have really enjoyed working here so far. I am learning so much from my residents. But I have a little bit of a different background. I am not a traditional activities director with a activities certification. I am a dance movement therapist. Yes. So I have a registered dance movement therapy certification. So I got my degree from Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York. And I received my degree in 2019, and I finished my thesis at that time as well. So I do have a master's degree, and so it took a lot of work, but I did it, and I'm really thankful that I have this background. So I received my registered dance movement therapy license, and then the next that there is another certification that I can receive after this. So it's a board certified dance movement therapy certification. That certification requires a little bit more field work and hours, and it's a little tricky here in Texas to get that certification. But I, thankfully, with my RDMT, I can still practice as a dance therapist as long as I'm in any type of medical or clinical setting. And so I'm just gonna go over a little bit about dance movement therapy because I'm sure a lot of you have never heard of it before. It is a creative arts therapy certification. And so if you've ever heard of music therapy or art therapy, drama therapy, it's along those lines of a creative way to better ourselves, okay? And so the goal of dance movement therapy is to use movement to promote emotional, cognitive, physical, and social integration, helping individuals express what words might not be able to. We as dance therapists work in various settings and populations such as hospitals, inpatient psychiatric units, schools, working with children and adolescents with behavioral and psychological disturbances, addiction and rehabilitation centers, and of course people recovering from various addictions in nursing homes or day centers working with seniors. And so a year ago, I actually did a presentation in healthcare with staff. And in this in-service, I went over the core concepts of a dance movement therapy group. And so that first starts with something called body action. And it's about recognizing body parts, breathing patterns, and tension that blocks emotional expression. We as dance therapists provide therapeutic movement interventions as a way to release feelings, thoughts, and ideas that might be held in the body as muscular rigidity. And the next core concept is rhythmic activity. According to Marian Chase, she is the developer of dance therapy. She is what started dance therapy. And the contagious nature of rhythm can mobilize the most withdrawn patient, providing a safe and simple way to engage and organize otherwise chaotic confusing emotions. Through repetition and mastery, rhythm provides a sense of security and structure as patients experience group support. Okay. Rhythm is a big thing in my dance therapy groups. I have a group with the residents every Tuesday after our chapel service. So we dedicate that time to do dance therapy, and with memory care and individuals dealing with dementia. Rhythm is really good because it structures things a little bit, okay? Because sometimes the attention can veer off, right? And when a resident might be focusing on something else, but rhythm can bring things together, okay? Right. And then the next core concept is symbolic imagery. So in this process, imagery, fantasy, enchantment, and the visualization and verbalization. The symbolic stage focuses on communication and the release of unconscious emotions after a sense of trust and acceptance is established. And so this actually is what is happening in my picture here. So this is from a dance therapy group that I did with the residents, and in this picture here, we're actually we were doing some kind of warm-ups and things like that, and we were having our arms out, and I asked the residents, well, what does this feel like? And someone just yelled out, oh, okay, they started making some airplane sounds. And so now we're becoming an airplane, and we're kind of exploring that. And so that kind of creates a sense of fun and nostalgia, and it can just be really helpful for the residents. And so here we're kind of doing some more with our hands, and then that can develop into something else, right? Here it was an airplane, but sometimes it turns into, a bird, or we're exploring different things. And the residents, that's a improvement for the residents to even go there with it. And so that's a goal of mine, every group. And then the last core concept is therapeutic movement. We as dance therapists involve ourselves in a movement relationship with patients as a way to reflect and express the unexpressed emotions. Mirroring and reflecting the patient's movement is one of the most effective techniques. By mirroring patients' movements, it communicates, I understand you, I hear you, and it's okay. Validating the patient's experiences. Okay, so I have, and I'll give everybody an example. I have a resident that in our groups, this resident loves to kind of do her own thing. We'll be doing a movement, or we'll be doing a dance move, and she's kind of doing something completely different than us. She's moving fast and we're moving slow. And so in a way that's, of course, I will not ignore that, of course not. I want to make sure that she's acknowledged, and so sometimes we will join in with her. And I'll acknowledge, oh my gosh, I see that you're doing this. Let's go a little faster, or let's slow down a little bit. Or she's tapping her feet, so let's tap our feet as well, so that she can acknowledge and express herself authentically. Okay. And in my groups, I also use props. Okay, so props like balls, scarves, music instruments. Okay. Yes, we have something called boom whackers, okay? I don't know if you all have heard of those, but they're really fun. And there's these like long sticks, and they're like musical instruments. They all have octaves, and we bang them together, and they make different sounds. So we kind of play a game with that, and the residents love it. So I do a lot of that in our groups, because that also kind of brings the resident in if they are getting distracted or, veering off a little bit. It's something to focus on. So that's really helpful, and it's fun, and they love it. And so I will just go over what makes my background a little different, and hopefully, beneficial as well. So my work is different, but I'm definitely coming from a different lens, and I do think that it's beneficial in memory care, as opposed to someone that might not have a dance therapy background. Being a dance therapist and a movement person, nonverbal communication is key, and so it can be really beneficial working with individuals dealing with dementia, because my awareness is always on the nonverbal, because these residents are really not able to communicate, express themselves verbally. And so I am usually trying to observe and look at, how is their affect, and how is their posture today, how are their facial expressions, because that can really be beneficial if a resident is just dealing with something and they cannot express it. And of course, then I will notify our nursing staff and our IDT team, hey, this is something that I'm noticing, and I think we should maybe look into it because I'm noticing these kind of behaviors and things like that. And so the nonverbal communication is very key, dealing with working with people with dementia. So yes, and of course, I do all the fun stuff. I do the regular, not regular, but the fun activities such as music groups, gardening, arts and crafts. So I definitely keep that kind of traditional program going, but I also definitely utilize my background and make sure that I am imparting in that way with memory care, and hopefully it's helpful. So.
I'm sorry. There you go. There I am. There I am. You got it. You got it. All right. Well, good morning. I am Sandy Oberly. I am the activities coordinator at Lakeside Assisted Living. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I have been at the ARC for 5 years. I came to the ARC in the height of COVID, which was a little different. So we weren't doing many activities. Everybody was primarily staying in their apartments, and I was doing one-on-ones and handling those types of things. And prior to coming to the ARC, I worked as a director of assisted living activities at Franklin Park. I also handled the memory care portion of that. And I started out then in Austin. I worked at a memory care community there for 4 years. I received my dementia specialist certificate there. I learned a lot about dementia and how it affects each stage of our life, because each stage is very different. I did realize that I liked starting out with the onset of dementia, and that is why assisted living really appealed to me. It's something that I like to, it's like a goal to ward off dementia as much as we possibly can. And with COVID, we saw an increase of dementia in our aging population, and that due to the isolation. We are not to be isolated people, but due to circumstances, we had to be isolated. And because of that, dementia increased. So my primary goal at Lakeside with my assisted living residents is that I always want to be challenging their brain. A lot of our residents come over to Lakeside from independent living. A lot of them are very high functioning. They're a challenge. And trying to fulfill their activity needs is always a challenge for me. But what I do try to do is in any activity that I bring forth, I want to be challenging them. We do a lot of crosswords. We do a lot of word games where we have a big word and we have to pull words from those letters. And then I take those words and then we make a story with those words, which is quite hilarious how the story ends up. I've told them that I'm going to make a book with them, but we'll publish it. Let's see what else. We have a hot and heavy heart card game going. We play Liverpool Rummy almost every single afternoon because they demand it. So, which, you know, I'm gonna be really honest, when Mary Carr just came to me and she said, I really wanna play Liverpool Rummy. Well, I looked at the instructions and I thought, oh my gosh, there's no way. There's just no way. There's too many steps. And I thought, I don't know, I think that's too challenging. Well, let me tell you, it's not too challenging. And I have a group of about 8 women who come to play. And then when we have a new person, then they teach that person. It's not me that teaches them. I have residents that are now taking what they learned and teaching new residents that come in. And I love that. And it also shows their independence. I always want to instill in them, you're in assisted living, but you still have your independence. I think a lot of people think when they come to assisted living, it's the beginning of the end. I don't want y'all to see that Lakeside that way, or assisted living anywhere. It's not the end. It's another step in your chapter. But you can, I always tell my residents, you can make it what you want it to be. I will give you the activities to instill happiness and social ability. That's my job to do. So, some examples. Yes, thank you, Mary. Okay, so the first one was that I showed you was this is our Mardi Gras party that we had. It was a lot of fun. They had a lot of fun with that. And we did a Mardi Gras parade through our halls, and this is some of our staff, and we have a resident who is handing out beads to some of the residents that didn't want to come out. So we touched everybody. And we had a group of high school students from different high schools across North ISD came and sang Christmas carols. This was really interesting because I have to tell you a funny story. Because some of these girls came and they had holes in their pants, you know, and some of their shirts were a little short, and some of their shirts were a little low. And I heard comments from almost every resident. Do they need money for pants? Do they know their shirt is way too small? And those types of things, you know. And I just laughed, you know, but they all enjoyed these girls, and the girls were so open to speaking to the residents. So, but it's just cool that they can see a different generation. And I said, well, no, they paid a lot of money for those. I got a lot of money. Well, how much money? A good $100 or so. No way. I'm like, yes. So anyway, so we had a lot of fun at Lakeside. I would encourage you all to come over for a visit. Come see me. I'll take you on a tour. We'll talk about my activities. I have loved working at the ARC. I love my residents. And I'm just thankful for the opportunity to be a part of their lives. And they have enriched my life. I can't even tell you how much they've enriched my life. So I want to thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Sandy. Enrique is coming up next.
Thank you. Good morning. Okay. There it is. That's my part. Okay, good morning. I'm here to talk about our nursing assistant program that we have. And I'm just gonna give you a little story, a little background on why we do need to have the staff certified. Back in the early mids or late 80s, there was the government decided that they need to revise that. They need to have people that were certified. They need to be able to care for the residents where they work. So what they did is that revised the Medicare, the Centers of Medicare Services, revise a Omnibus Reconciliation Act. That's how they call it. So that's a requirement that anyone that comes over to work and does even the basic care to our residents are certified. They're able to do it competently. So therefore, they're required to have basic training to do their activity of daily livings, to perform those activities of daily livings to our residents. What are the activities of daily living is the toileting, dressing, grooming, transferring, even to empty Foley catheters. Yes, those all are activities of daily living. We do have over here, and actually we have, we're going into our second year of having our own ARC training program that was approved by the state of Texas. So we once again, 2 years on it. We have had 3 classes so far since 2023, and very successful. Very important to know that unfortunately not everybody passes, but because of they didn't tune a little bit their knowledge there, but it is a little difficult for some of the students to be able to grasp all of what is required, because they have to make sure they are safe. So safety is a big thing, infection control, and also thinking. They have to critical think what they're going to do to recognizing any changes of condition at that level as well, to notify the charge nurse on that. So we also have partner with the Northeast Independent School District. So we have had last year about 60 students that came over from the high schools around here in San Antonio. And we have also not only have the high school students, but we have some adult students that have come over and graduated. So we are a training center too as well for our community. And over here you see one of the examples of what they're doing in daily living is about assisting a resident eating. Okay, now they need to do it competently. And making beds. We don't make beds like actually we do hospital beds style, not military style. Okay, because that'll be a little more difficult. And actually, before we even pass the trays or the meals to the residents, they need to be checked for the right diet and the right consistency as well. So it needs to be checked. So. And once again, setting up the tray, of course, is very important. So that way, it's a lot. You can see that the resident can reach all the items that need to be done for them.
Texture.
The texture as well. That's one thing. There's another one in here, and we have our students demonstrating how to empty a catheter. It has to follow infection control practices as well. Dressing, undressing, how to do it right with a person that has had a stroke. You know, you gotta do it the way it's supposed to be done. Done without injuring the resident or causing pain. Shaving. Some of our female, of course, some female resident employees or have not ever shaved another person. So they have to do it safely, because believe me, it hurts when you do it wrong. And you cut things, they cut their skin too, so they gotta do it correctly. So what I do is put as you see there is a balloon, and it simulates a lot of the skin because it's very tender and soft and delicate, so I make sure we do it right. This is a picture of our last graduating students. You see them on there, so we can have up to 10 students at a time per instructor. So that's not very so. Okay, well, thank you so much. Any comments? Questions?
I think that is reinforcement. Some of them are ARC employees we're training from other
Yes.
departments, and then some are from Northeast Independent.
That's correct, yes. Mhm.
What did he say? I didn't hear it.
Oh, he said that some of the pictures that we showed, there were some of our employees or our students,
Okay.
and some of them were for the Northeast Independent School District.
Okay.
Have any questions? Yes.
How many of your students have stayed with you? How many of your students have stayed with you?
The majority of the students have stayed with us, and I believe we have maybe very few of them that have left us because they are doing something else or what have you, but the majority of them have stayed with us. And that's a good thing to have them all here. Now, once again, it is not, unfortunately, it's not a guarantee they'll all be passing the test because it is very difficult. But we're making all the effort to make sure that they do. There's some fine tuning on what they're needed to know to present that test. There are two tests. One is the 60 questions, written questions, and that do it in computerized, of course. And the other one is demonstrating 5 random skills that they have learned in the class. So 60 hours of clinical of theory and 40 hours of hands-on. Any other question? Okay, well, thank you so much.
Appreciate that. So we'll open it up if there's any other general question and answer from the material presented today. We appreciate everybody coming out. Everybody's still awake, right? Get some dance movement therapy up here, right? We need Andrea to get them going. So, well, we thank you all. Appreciate you coming out today. Have a blessed rest of your day. Thank you.